Hey Richard, could you tell us the story of your aha to deconstruct Rolfing and find something new?
Ooh. Well, the biggest thing about what I was doing with Rolfing was I started changing when a person started to mention that they were getting better, or they would be, they really appreciated that session more than another session. I started thinking that, well, I was so focused on doing 1 through 10 that I realized that maybe by concentrating on different areas, and I was in Arkansas at the time, and people in that area would start talking to me about, well, you're working on my arm, and I would be working. They would say, yes, you're working on my arm, so why are you working on my leg? And I would explain it the Rolf way. Well, we have to open up all areas of the body, and so this is how we're doing it, is we take a section of the body at a time. And well, these guys that I started working with, and this was after I started working with the people who were in desperate trouble. They were the ones that the neurosurgeon, Jim J. Moore, Dr. Jim J. Moore gave to me. And they were coming in because they had been in a car accident, they had had a bad surgery, they had had something that was wrong with them. And so my response to that was, well, let me try some new things. But what was also restricting me was that I was supposed to be Rolfing. And as a Rolfer, I had certain things to accomplish in each session that I was supposed to do. And so what I did was I asked the doctor, I said, can I change up what I am doing with these people in terms of the Rolfing? Because I think I can be more effective doing it this way, but I need your permission to be able to do this. And so he let me do this. And I started getting much better results. I started being able to work an area much more than what it was, what I was doing as a Rolfer. So if they did have an arm issue, I could work on the arm and the chest and the shoulder and work it out on a much deeper level than rather than working on their hips or necessarily their feet. So I started changing what I was doing with all of the clients, and so as the clients came in with a neck problem, then I would change how I approached it, and I would always try to approach it with the idea that what we are doing is we are trying to change the whole structure, but at the level of working with a person, you had to concentrate and focus on the areas that they needed done, that they were in trouble for. So that's where I started doing it. And then as I started doing more and more of that, I started realizing that my own clients, not the doctor's patients, but my own clients also started to benefit from this. And so I started working in more in the area where they needed it, and so that became my mantra, is I wanted to be able to make sure that I was taking care of their problem, and if it happened to coincide with the rest of their structure, that was great. One thing I want to mention here is that when I was doing this, it became very there were a lot of ahas all in the same period of time that I was working. And so one of the things that I came across that was another aha is that Rolfers, when they put a person down on the table, what they do is they bend their knees up, and that's their signal to the body that, end quote, they are taken out of gravity. And what I realized was that when I put them like that, when you worked on an area, it just stayed in that area. But when I had a person lay flat on their back and stretch out, that the results that I got were much more powerful, much more immediate, and they lasted longer. So that told me that I was on the right path.